Well, good morning and welcome back to the Gribley's Folly Community Garden and Massage Parlor. This is the Sunday Antisocial Hour, and today I will be doing this entire show from this bucket. I don't know how we got started on the bucket, but for some reason it's become kind of a thing, and I think it's time we put it to bed. Everyone wants to know what's inside the Home Depot bucket. And frankly, I'm just tired of fielding this question. I can't remember who asked it this week. Well, I'll point you out. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of bored with this experiment. So today, we're going to open it. And I'm going to show you guys what's... these things are so hard to get... Well, it rolled out of reach. And next week, you'll never know what's in the bucket. To be perfectly honest, even I don't know what's in the bucket, and I did just open it and put the lid on my head. Like there was something, I can't remember what was in the bucket because I didn't look because I was trying to like look at the, I don't even know. It could be like it could be a skull or something. I shouldn't have put the lid back on so tight because now I really don't have, anyway. So, good morning, it's Sunday, and I'm antisocial. Sorry, there was a car alarm going off, ruining my intro. Good morning, it's Sunday, I am antisocial, and I'm here to tell you about it. You know what I've really been thinking about this week is how much time I spend just so pissed off that I have to look at my phone. Like, I can't, if I try to bring up one thing, right, it gives you notifications for like 4 more things. I run a business, so some of those things are important. And so I try to look at the comments and it brings up the old videos and it's just this constant distraction. So I was going to try to go all weekend without, see? Yeah, this doesn't bode well for the rest of this video. The other thing is I tie flies down here, and so every time I look down, I feel like I've got bugs all over me because I've got like fly tie materials. So anyway, let's not get any more distracted than we currently are, right? We've got some business to attend to here. I finally got Google to bring up the current version of the file in which I keep all of your questions. The file in which I keep all of your questions. It was Robert Dixon that asked about the bucket. Can you give us an update on the mystery pail? Could I safely assume there is silver and gold in there for the winner? No, that is not a safe assumption. Typing Piper asked Gribbs, what did you regret the most after eating? Because Typing Piper like wasn't satisfied with my weirdest thing I've ever eaten story, and then tried to turn it into a joke about oral sex. It really made me uncomfortable, Typing Piper. I'm just... That sort of thing just offends my sensibilities. We don't talk about sex on this channel. Because, let's be honest, does anyone want to talk about sex with me? Can you imagine what the birds and bees conversation is going to be like? So, champ, men and women, they differ in certain key respects. I'm going to answer your question, Typing Piper, but at this point I'm on such a roll of distraction that I have to mention that this Ozark Trail mug that Shane got me has been a real, I wouldn't say a game changer, but I find that I drink less coffee because I have a smaller vessel as opposed to my giant thermos. And what is the game changer is drinking less coffee actually makes the coffee a lot better. And I don't get the caffeine like overload, you know what I mean? And so, but I still get like plenty of nice hot coffee. Nice and hot. It's really hot. Okay, what's the question again? Weirdest thing I've ever eaten? No. What did you regret most after? Because weirdest thing was last time. And can we just say, while we're on the topic of oral sex, hang on a second, I have to consider this. John Galdieri, get Cassidy Rose out of the room, because this is an NSFW thing I'm getting ready to say. You know, we'll count it down. We'll count it down, right? I'm going to talk about something that I wouldn't want a child to hear in 3, 2, If you're still watching, it's your fault. 1. Okay, so I don't even know if I can bring myself to say this now. So typing Piper, when discussing oral sex, to use the verb eat, I find really disturbing. In my entire life, I found this disturbing. I know that is in the parlance of our times, it is commonplace to use the verb eat to discuss the process, the act of oral sex. But we're not cannibals. Like, you're not, like, eating requires, like, digestion and consumption. I've never understood, and it really bothers me, and it hinders my enjoyment of everyday life. So if you're one of those people that uses that verb, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop it. Stop it unless your significant other really, really wants you to use that to refer to that act. The world will be a better place if we all just use the proper terminology for things. Or at least not that, right? And also, while we're on the subject, while we're doing the Gribbs Sexual Health segment of the Sunday Antisocial Hour, here's a little piece of advice. Never call anyone daddy unless they are your daddy. Conversely, never call anyone mama unless they are your mama. I've been listening to the Black Keys, like finally, after all these years, I've discovered the Black Keys. And I must say that I'm impressed. But in every song, they call the female love interest mama. No, don't do that. And also in some of the, like actual blues, like I just said the Black Keys aren't actual blues, but, yeah, they're not like traditional blues. You often hear the singer calling the hot female sister. No, that's not cool. Call her baby or honey or darling or sweetie pie or whatever, but not. Why do we use familial relationship names for sexual relationship partners? It's just something I've been thinking about. All right, you can bring your kids back into the room to watch me smoke my pipe and drink my coffee and cuss a lot. I'm smoking Fusilier's Ration. And man, if I didn't love having a Huggies box full of tobaccos, I could probably just get by on Fusilier's Ration. Let's answer the question, Gribbs. What's the question? What did you regret the most after eating? Well, have you heard the tofu story? If you haven't, I can't remember what video that was in. But that was definitely, that tops the list. A big bowl of tofu, was the thing I probably regret eating most. Other notable, events. When I was a food photographer, I had to cover a lot of like opening days for restaurants, and there was like some burger joint that like their claim to fame was this like 2-pound burger or something like that. And I was starving, right? And this was like a very, personally, I would prefer not to take gifts from the subjects of my journalism coverage, right? But it doesn't really matter anymore because journalism isn't journalism anymore, right, as we often discuss. And for the paper I was working for had no such policy that like, hey, if you're covering something, don't be a part of it. So these people made this like 2-pound burger for a photo. I don't know if it was 2 pounds. It was large. It was like, it stood up like this tall. And they made it for the photo, which usually means food that's made for photos is not prepared well because well-prepared food doesn't last very long. So, for example, if you really, really cook a burger, it's going to fall apart by the time the photos are... Well, I really wish I could just lock in the exposure on this phone. So anyway, it was undercooked. Undercooked burger so it would hold together a little bit more. I was starving when I got there. I was starving all the way through the shoot. They're like, hey, do you want to take this burger with you? And I'm like, hell yes, I do. I'll take it back to the office because I was there with the reporter. Like, we'll take it back to the office and everybody will cut up a piece of this burger like a damn sheet cake or something, and we'll all have a big lunch. And I ate a lot of that burger. That burger was not cooked well. and that was a big regret. I think the next day was one of the 2 sick days I took during my entire time at that job, because I was not going to come to work in the condition I was in. Some updates. Kiddos in preschool. We got them in. We're locked in. We have a contract signed in blood. We're basically living outside the preschool, waiting for the first day. It's going to happen, so that's good. Thank you for all of your concern. The Bothy situation, also thank you for your condolences that the Bothy isn't really the Bothy anymore. My friend ended up bailing on me. And Shane, I'm not talking about you. Different friend that bailed on me. And so I did not go back and clean up the trash, so I need to go do that today. Somebody else. Someone said the video with Shane and Brad seemed to be pretty well received. But someone said, it really looks like this is doing you good, having friends. And I thought, am I really that much of a downer? Does it make you depressed to watch my channel? You don't answer that. So we have 2 questions about John F. Kennedy today. He comes up a lot on my channel. It's kind of weird. And then, and over a pipe, he mentioned Kennedy a lot when he was doing his VR to me about the whole, Trump being a Russian spy thing. Like, Trump is basically that, like, short dude from Rocky and Bullwinkle at this point. Have you guys seen... All right, I wasn't going to talk about this, because didn't I just say I didn't want to be a downer? All right, so NATO... No, we're not, no. Trump is putting tariffs on Turkey to push them out of NATO and into Russia's orbit because he's a Russian spy. That's all by. All right, Francis Barnett asks, if Kennedy was president today... Wait, no, let's get to that one next. David 35445 asked Gribbs with the hashtag. By the way, I need more questions, y'all. This is nothing. We need loads and loads of questions. Anything you've ever thought of that you wondered, like, how does that work? What would happen if? Who is responsible for? Anything you want to know, I will answer it authoritatively. Maybe not correctly, but authoritatively. David 35445 using the hashtag AskGribbs. In your opinion, how many gunmen were involved in the Kennedy assassination? Lots, but most of them were Secret Service that didn't fire their weapons. How many shooters were involved? I don't know, man. I mean, I hate to say this because it's gonna ruin my cred. But I think Oswald did it alone. Maybe not. Okay, I think Oswald did the shooting alone. Maybe and likely there were other things going on, but I think Oswald did it alone. Jack Ruby was involved with whoever put Oswald up to it. Oswald was a crazy guy, and I think he was a useful crazy guy to someone. Whether or not wasn't there a thing about, though, that he had already tried to assassinate someone? I don't know. Maybe there's no larger conspiracy. But in terms of the mechanics of the shooting, why? Why would you have more shooters than just one? And then, of all the people that you could blame it on, the reason I don't believe in JFK assassination conspiracy theories is, look at what happened after 9/11. I'm not saying 9/11 was a false flag or anything like that. What I'm saying is, in 9/11, the country went an entirely different direction, right? Like, boom, big buildings fall down, and now we're at war with, basically the entire world. We're overgeneralizing. Don't. I already said my offensive stuff. Okay. You know what I'm saying, right? Gulf of Tonkin, now we're at war with Vietnam. Sinking of the Lusitania, now we're at war with the bugs from Mars, or whoever it was that we went to war with after that. I can't remember. These events, these big events, generate casus belli. And we didn't go to war with anyone. We didn't have a big shift in national mobilization toward anything. Like, life just kind of went on. And that's why I think it was likely a random event, or at least that there wasn't some big plan behind it, because, man, they really missed a good opportunity to use a lot of public outcry to move the country in whatever direction they wanted to go. You see what I'm saying? I know that there are a lot of logistical issues that people take issue with, saying, you know, nobody could have put 3 rounds in someone's head while they were driving away from such an angle, blah, 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 with a bolt-action rifle. That's bullshit, man. I've seen people do things. Like, go watch Hickok 45. Go watch the YouTube channel Hickok 45. Any segment with a bolt-action rifle, and you will see that it's entirely possible to make that shot. Difficult shot? Yeah, your average person probably couldn't do it. Your average shooter probably couldn't do it. Oswald was a trained Marine marksman. I'm not saying I could make that shot, but I could probably make that shot. Well, not accounting for wind. I'm not very good at accounting for wind. But I think that it is entirely a humanly possible shot to make. The back and to the left thing with Kennedy's, where Kennedy's head moved. Okay, you're talking about you're talking about the Zapruder film. The Zapruder. You're talking about the film that everyone knows about. The only real film we have of the assassination. And you're talking about a camera that took, I mean, who knows what the frame rate of that camera was. What did we miss in between the frames? Those were, I mean, old home movie cameras, which I assume that, I mean, I don't think Zapruder was just some dude, right? Or dudette. Who was Zapruder? The Zapruder, with a P, film is a silent 8mm color motion picture sequence shot by private citizen Abraham Zapruder with a Bell & Howell home movie camera as U.S. President John F. Kennedy's motorcade passed through the Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. On November 22nd, 1963, unexpectedly, it ended up capturing the president's assassination. Frame rate. What's the frame rate? Is that a freaking... Not a mosquito. It's just some ash. All right. Creation. 486 frames over 26.6 seconds. So we do the math, and that's like, I think that's about 1 million frames per second. It's 18.3 frames per second. There's no way that a frame rate that's roughly half of what your basic VGA, you know, like, I don't know about VGA, but like, you know, my camera, what you're seeing now, I think is in 60 frames per second, but most, because this is HD, but most cell phones and stuff shoot at 30 frames per second. I think there's some debate about the human eye being able to discern anything faster than 30 frames per second. So basically, you're talking about something with a frame rate of half the frame rate of the human eye, you know, in loose terms. It's entirely possible that his head went forward and then snapped back, like minutely or even not minutely, you know, in the space between the frames. Lest we forget, Bell & Howell isn't exactly making cameras anymore because they don't do that because technology has improved. So even if it was 18.3 frames per second, that doesn't mean that there wasn't... It's just not a high-fidelity medium, is all I'm trying to say. So I've just never seen any compelling evidence other than an Oliver Stone movie about with Kevin Costner. I've just never seen any compelling evidence that anything other than the official Warren Commission story happened. Which is not to say I wouldn't be open to such evidence. Which is not to say that I don't think, like, just because there was a conspiracy there wasn't a conspiracy doesn't mean that there isn't a conspiracy. I just said that. Those words just came out of my mouth. Let's move on, shall we? Francis Barnett says, if Kennedy was president today and made the speech, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. What would or could you do for your country over and above paying your taxes? Well, Francis, I think I'm doing it right now. You know where I struggle with this is that I don't have, well, let's be honest. I don't want to go long and rambling answer about how I struggle with doing good things for other people. Edit it out, right? You don't need to hear it. Because what I can do, right, is take this personal flaw, right, that I know I have, right, that I'm willing to donate money, but I'm not really willing to actually go help my fellow countrymen and countrywomen, and country whatevers. I'm not really actually willing to do that. Now, I take care of the people in my life very well, but just random people, I've really lost the urge to help them. I do help them monetarily because God says I have to, but I have tried volunteering, and it doesn't work out for me very well. If anything, I feel selfish about it because mostly what it does is give me perspective. There's a lot of people out there that need a lot of help, and we forget that. And so when you volunteer, then I can say, hey, I know there's a lot of people that, like, I've seen some shit in my day, and I know there's people out there that really need help. So keep watching my channel and drinking coffee and smoking pipes. I just don't want to. I just don't want to fall into that trap of going to work at a soup kitchen once a year and thinking you're like some sort of crusader. And so there's that. And also, every time I go work in a soup kitchen, I get really pissed off. And I worked downtown for 2 years, and I got really pissed off at people panhandling and asking, like, the same people. And when I was in my early 20s, someone needed money. Hey, sure. Yeah, man. That's what I'm instructed to do, right? Give to all who ask. And then I got scammed real bad. Not real bad. I mean, I was out like $40 or something because a panhandler told me a story. I was like 21, right? A panhandler told me a story, and, I needed money for a bus ticket, blah, blah, blah. And I believed it. I bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. And I was like, look, man, here's your money for your bus ticket, and here's another 20. Get yourself something to eat, brush your teeth, whatever you need to do before you get on your bus. Like, here you go. And then the next day, he came outside my shop again and was like, hey man, I got stuck in town and I need some money for a bus ticket. Turns out I wasn't the only like young idealistic music store employee that fell for that. And the dude had made like $120 off of us. So no wonder he came back the next day. I guess in his alcohol-soaked brain, all he remembered was the location where he got $120 from a bunch of morons. Anyway, after that, I don't give money to panhandlers on the street. And I think about that and think, well, maybe in the time in which we were instructed to give to all who ask, there wasn't a panhandling problem, right? There weren't people that just said. But I'm pretty sure that mooching has been a thing since antiquity. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not new. Maybe urban situations are more urban than they used to be, but I think that's kind of a Weasley way of getting around that idea. Obviously, that's an ideal. If you give to all who ask, you're broke. You're broke. I mean, if you go downtown today, there's 50 panhandlers between where you park and where you go to your shop or your work or whatever. If you gave them all $1, that'd be $50 a day. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, I'm really not. Okay, well, maybe $20 a day. But I couldn't afford to do it. So I give money to charity. And I think that's the wisest, best thing to do. And that's about all I can do, because you either give money to charity or you go get involved in a cause. And I'm not getting involved in anybody's cause. Those days are done. So what I can do for my country, well, when you put it like that, mostly what I can do for my country is step aside and watch it burn. What I can do for my community is make fun videos on YouTube. Be a good person, engage, have community, give money to people who are better suited to actually helping people than I am. Those sorts of things. I'm a dad, and I was in a position to try to help someone who was in a car wreck this week. They rolled their car on the bridge at Malfunction Junction here in town, and this happens pretty much every day, like clockwork. And usually someone doesn't roll a car that then catches on fire. I came up with my kid in the car right behind this. Smoke's pouring out of this car. I think everybody was out of the car. I don't think there was anybody left in the car. And in the past, I would have gotten out and tried to help or taken pictures. Either way. And I literally reached for the door handle like 3 times and then was like, oh yeah, I've got my kid in the car. Like, I can't just go like help. I can't just go be involved in my community in a very visceral way. Like, I have to do it in stupid, protracted, vicarious ways, I guess. Is all that just like a justification? I don't know. Like, I'm just rationalizing why I don't go work in soup kitchens. What did Kennedy really mean when he said that? I don't know. NASA? NASA. I think he meant go to space. But lest we forget, the whole point of the Gribley's Folly thing is that I spent like most of my young life trying to be part of a very American institution, which was journalism. And look how that turned out. So yeah, in that sense, let's step back and watch it burn. And we've come to the point in the video where I realize I've said enough. If you have a burning, itching question, let me know next week and I'll answer it in the Sunday Antisocial Hour. I have been Gribbs. I really am a downer, aren't I? All right, I don't want to be downer. So next week, I promise, Scout's honor, that I will show you what's in the bucket. Okay? Until then, thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.